Hello students, last class we discussed about the softwares, different types of software, like system software, application software, and also we learned something about the languages. There we learned different types of language, programming language we have. One is, first one we started with the machine level language, and then we discussed about in detail about the machine level language, how it works, how exactly the mission instructions are performed, and also we took a typical example of the execution of instruction. Just an example, I think. So now let us learn one more thing, and also we learn something advantages and disadvantages of the mission level language. So now we learn about assembly language. So first we learn what is assembly level language and why do we need this assembly level language. So already we have learned the disadvantages of mission level language. So what does the disadvantages of mission level language means? So one, it is a mission dependent, and one more, the most important is, so we have to remember the opcode, that is the operational code. Everything has to be remembered, which will be in the form of zeros and ones. And it's very difficult to test and debug in writing programs, so everything is difficult. So therefore what we do means, so they started with some other programming language. That is what we call as a assembly level language. So in assembly level language, what we do means we use some symbols. So instead of using the binary code 0, 1, so we use some name like add, sub, mul, sta, store, alt, something like this. So these are called mnemonics. So using this mnemonics, so it reduces the code burden, that is remembering zeros and ones. Still, it possesses mission level dependent. So, but only thing is, this is not understood by machines. Again, this needs a translation. This is something about assembly language. So you can see here the disadvantages of assembly level language lead to the development of new programming language, which is a symbolic instructions called assembly language. So the burden of remembering a lengthy mission code, that's in the form of zeros and ones, that is called mission code, was reduced, of course. So we'll see, we'll understand. And instead of this, is replace them by symbolic codes. So that is what we try to do. So what we had a symbolic, what is a mission code, is replaced by symbolic codes. So that symbolic codes are known as the mnemonics. So these symbolic instructions codes of machine language are referred to as the mnemonics. Some of the mnemonics are given. You can see here this add, sub, mul something, and sta, store, halt. So add means it for addition, sub, sub means for subtraction, mul means multiplication, sta means store. So since the above instructions are English like, the computer does not understand. Definitely computer works with high voltage and low voltage. So that should be in the form of zeros and ones. So therefore these instructions have to be translated to the equivalent mission codes. So whatever we wrote assembly code will not be understood by the computers. So it has to be converted into its equivalent mission code. So this process is carried. So this is done by a program. That program is called as an assembler. So what is an assembler means? It's a system software which translate assembly level language to machine level language. So that software is called as assembler. So now let us learn something advantages. Already we have understood what is the advantages, and let us learn also disadvantages. The one advantage is assembly languages or which has a mnemonic code, easy to remember and easy to understand. And writing the assembly program becomes easy to modify and debug the assembly program, because everything we use, once it becomes easy to understand and easy to write means, and modification and debugging becomes automatically easy. So this is the main advantages of the assembly level language, that is easy to remember and easy to understand, and writing the assembly level program easy to modify and debug assembly program. So these are all becomes. So debugging means identifying error, modifying means you're changing the programs in the later stage. That is what we call as a modify. A debug is a new term, so we are discussing in this a programming language. Bug means error. Mistakes in the programs are called bugs. Debugging means the process of removing error from the program is called debugging. So therefore now here onwards you will be familiar with the word debug. So now let us learn the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages means? So assembly languages or the mnemonics are mission dependent, and assembly language programs takes longer to code. So what is this? Why it is a mission dependent means? What we did means what we had a mission code, just we replaced by the name. Only we use a mnemonic, some names, symbolic names we have given like add. So but it has to be converted means again it is zero in the form of zeros and ones. So again the what we have mission level language is like one-to-one translation. You wrote one line, that one line will be converted into mission code, which is exactly, so that mission code is a mission dependent. So now this assembly level language, even it very easy to remember, but still this is mission dependent. So and it also takes longer time to code, because first we have to write assembly code, then we have to convert into the programs, then it takes longer time. So mission code means directly would have done and in the form of zeros and ones. But programming, this normally takes longer time to code compared to the assembly level language. Not in terms of writing programs, typing programs, but what we call execution of programs. So it takes normally longer to code, longer time to write the entire code program. So assembly, this is something about, that's a disadvantages of assembly language. So one advantages is that's remembering the code. So because instead of hectic codes of zeros and ones will be replaced by some mnemonic names, which is very too easy to remember, and it becomes very easy to write the programs, and it becomes easy to modify and easy to debug the assembly program. But the drawback is assembly programs are mission dependent. Still they possess the mission dependency. Just what we had zeros and ones replaced by some names. So hence it has to be converted into mission code. So that mission code is again dependent on the missions. So indirectly assembly language programs is a mission dependent, and also they take a longer time to code. So this is something about the disadvantages of assembly level language. So what is assembly level language? Is a symbolic language in which mnemonics are used to code the operations, and characters are used for addresses. So where we use in assembly level language, already we said in this language we use symbols. It's a mnemonics, we use symbols for operations, and also the codes, that's the characters, are used for addresses. So in order to refer to the memory, we may use the characters, exactly the specification. We use, this is the address, like operand, where operands are available, it will be in some address. So there we use the names, that's the characters we use. So for the operations, we use the mnemonics like add, sub, mul, multiplication, something like this. So this is something about assembly level language. So next we have one more is called high level language. So this high level languages are developed to overcome the difficulties of low level languages. Now low level language means both. That is a mission level language and assembly level languages are treated as a low level languages. To overcome this drawback, what is the drawback of assembly level language means? The mission dependency. That is the main criteria is the mission dependent, because it's not portable. You cannot run the same code on different missions. So again we have to rewrite the programs entirely from the beginning. So that is what mission dependency means. So one program you wrote on one mission, the same program you cannot execute on another mission. So that was a drawback of assembly level language. Today what we use high level language, it is not mission dependent. So we'll understand those things. So high level languages are developed to overcome the difficulties of low level languages. The high level languages are English like languages and are mission independent. That's what very important. So it is like the way we speak, almost similar to English like language, and also they are mission independent. So writing in a high level language, you do not worry about the mission. Any type of missions, you write the same program that will be executed on all the missions. It's like portable, that is mission independent. It does not depend on which missions you are writing. On any missions, this high level language programs are going to be executed. The programming language, that is more concerned with the problem specification, not oriented towards the details of the computers, is called high-level language. So in short, we write HLL, high-level languages. Some of the high-level languages are basic COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, C, C++, Java. There are many other programming language. We don't worry about all those things. Just the names. There are many programming languages. So what is this high level language does means, so it hides the internal details. So don't worry about the internal organization of computers, how the programs are executed, and how this is stored in the memory. So such burdens are relieved. So you just concentrate on the problem solution. So you are finding the solution for a problem means this programming language, you write only the solution, how to solve the problem. It does not bother about how these instructions will be executed in the machine code, how this has to be done. So it is relieved. So you'll be just working on a platforms like similar to English-like language. So that is what the advantages of high-level languages. It's the main advantage. That's why computers are used in every places. Even software we develop for medicine field, all types of fields. Maybe we don't have in-depth knowledge about the particular problem solution solution we are trying to find. But what we have is, so we know how to write the instructions. So we know we are concentrating on this. So no need to worry about the computer internal details. So I may not be a hardware engineer, but I can write very good softwares. That's how computers normally. And also user can also use the computer more efficiently because of these features, machine independent. It's like abstract. The computers works like abstract machines where you do not learn any internal details of the computers, but still you can use the computer more efficiently. So that is what the more important, one of the greatest features of computers. So this high-level language possesses exactly the same feature. In high-level language, you don't worry about how instructions, how I have to store it in the memory, how the processor take this instruction, how it will be executed. So you are not worrying. Just you write some steps, the programming syntax using, just you write how you are solving in real time. The same instruction you write, that's enough. So this is the advantages of high-level languages. So there are some advantages of high-level languages. Already I have told some advantages. Let us learn some. What is high-level languages advantages? They are machine independent. That's the most important. And very easy to learn because the way you speak and talk almost like English like that. That's why it's very easy to learn and understand. Almost similar to high-level language. That's like English like. And easy to write the program. Of course, you can write very easily using high-level language. And as it does not require the knowledge of the internal structure of the computer, no need to worry about any such things. And easy to debug and modify the program. So only these things will be repeated, like debugging, modifying, and writing the program. This becomes easier, where other machine level language it is not easy. That's a difference. That's all. Because we try to write the programs. So therefore, here what we are talking about is easy to debug and easy to modify the program and easy to learn and easy to understand. So once you do these two things, so it becomes the computer programming is very interesting. And also when it's easy and you can do it means so you love to do those tasks more oftenly. That computer high level languages are like that. So it is machine independent. You do not need to learn about internal structure of the computer, and it's very easy to learn and understand. It's easy to write the program and easy to modify and debug. So that is the advantage. And let us learn something about disadvantages. One thing you can understand disadvantages means except machine level language. So this high level languages has to be converted into machine level. That's a machine codes. Whatever we write in high level languages will not be understood by the computer. So this has to be converted into machine understandable form. So then only it will be executed. So let us learn apart from this, and we have to convert. That's the main thing, and it also takes a longer time because converting then executing, and it uses more space, memory. There are some disadvantages. Let us learn. Also, we need additional software like translators, which converts high level language to machine level language. That's we learn all those things. So high level languages are lacks of flexibility. They are not flexible because of the feature of high level language always occur under the control of the programmer. So when you have programming high level language means they are not flexible. Lacks of flexibility means they have a standard syntax, grammatical rules. So according to that, under that control only you have to work. So like in English, you can speak, it's a flexible, you speak like this or some other way also, it's possible in real time. But when you go for programming languages like high level languages, they are always bounded. There's a grammatical rules of that language, and they are possessed by the syntax, and we have to follow the syntax. That's a one disadvantage. They are not flexible. The way we are changing our sentences, and we can make and execute, we speak and we can communicate. Similar way, we cannot do that. So what is there in syntax or grammatical rules of the language, the same way we have to follow. That is a one disadvantages. So it is a slower in execution. So definitely it is going to be slow due to the generality of the statements, and that are portable between different machines, but with a suitable compiler. So what happens means here, it is not like one-to-one instruction conversion. So when you have a high-level language statement, means that one statement needs many machine code instruction. If simply I wrote S is equal to A plus B. So when I write S is equal to A plus B, is a one line. But when we convert the same thing into a machine code, means it may be more lines. First we want to get A. So there is a operation code we have to write. The address where it is in the memory, in the form of zeros and ones. Similarly B, where B is. And then there is a plus operation. So that is, again we have to combine this. Then we have to form A plus B. And then there is an assignment operator. We are copying this to S. So we have to find S where it has. See, that's one statement is like one-to-many relation. So given one high-level instruction, it will be converted into many machine code instructions. So automatically it takes a longer time for execution, conversion. So we need a suitable compiler also. Without compiler, we cannot do. What is compiler? We learn. Compiler is a system software which translates high-level language to machine-level language. That's what we have called as a translator. They require some time to convert this. So high-level language requires a translator or a compiler. In this case, high-level language, specifically we use a compiler to convert source code. That is, source code means the user written. Whatever we type the program in high-level language is called source code, as it is a source for converting to object code. So what is this object code means? The code generated by the compiler. So compiler takes this source code, whatever you written in high-level language, and it converts into machine language, equivalent machine level program. That program code is called object code. That is, compiler generated machine level code is called as a object code. So high level programming takes more time to execute and requires more memory, because we need to store the source program as well as object program, and also we need compiler has to be kept somewhere in the computer memory only. Therefore it requires the space, more memory, and also it takes time, more time, because we cannot suddenly execute. It has to be converted, then we have to execute. Hence it becomes less efficient in the usage. So normally when you are executing the program, in terms of the way, now high level language only we are using. Without high level language we cannot say it is not efficient, but comparatively to machine level code, it's a less efficient because it takes longer time. That's the only difference. And also the memory, the time and memory is the most important resources in a computer. We say efficient, so whenever it has to take less time, and also it has to use a less memory. So such things is treated as efficient in a computer. So normally real time also, one who takes less and also works efficient, works for longer time, that's very quickly, means we treat them as a efficient people. Exactly similar way here also. The resources, computer resources has to be used less, but it should also take less time. So that is, we learn in the later, we'll understand, but it is less efficient generally when we compare it with the machine level code, programming language. So now let us learn about translators. So already we have learned the translators. So already I have told about the translators. You may remember, just we talked, one is assembler. So what is assembler? Why do we need assembler? Why do we need translators? So it is generally, we know, when we do not know the programming language, maybe when you go to France example, so French you may not be knowing, you cannot understand the French, you cannot speak also. Then what we need means, so there we need a translator. So there will be one more person, so who translate into the French, and also they'll translate back to the English. So there is some way of translators required. In similar way, in a computer, so when you write in high level language or assembly level language, so these things is not understood by the computer, because computer means hardware, electronic components, so electrical, so they works with zeros and ones. So if you want to that form means, So we need the program or software which converts into that form. So that is what we call as a translator. So translator is nothing but system software. They translate high level language to machine level language, or assembly level language to machine level language. Or you can also say the language translators, they take source program and convert to object program in general. Whether it's a source program written in assembly level language, then it is converted using assembler. If it is written in high level language, then we use a compiler and interpreter. Both will be used. There is a differences we learn. So language translator perform translation of high level language program or assembly level language program to machine level language. That is what already I have told. So language translator is a it's a system software. It translates high level language or assembly level language program into machine language program. So these language translators even check some certain type of error that may present in the program that are being translated. So during the translation, they may detect some error also. That is called syntax errors. We'll be learning all those things, will be understood. The grammatical mistakes. When you write source program, it is not correct according to the grammatical rules. It will not convert into object program. So it will be asking you to modify the program, write accordingly the syntax of the program, and then if it is free from syntactical error, then it converts into object programs. So that is the language translator. So there you can see the diagram. So we have a source program. So this may be in a high level language or assembly level language. So we have a translator, maybe assembler or compiler or interpreter. It will be converted into object program. So this is the language translators. So there are three types of translators. That is assembler. Already I told something about assembler. Then we have a compiler, and one more is interpreter. So now let us learn about the assembler. So assembler, already I told, is the translator for assembly language. Assembly language requires translation of English-like statements. So there is we do not have English-like statements like mnemonics, the symbolic mnemonics. Thus has to be converted into machine language. So to do this, we use the system software that is called as a assembler. So what does assembler means? Assembler is a system software which translate assembly level language program to machine level language program. That is what we call as a assembler. So how it does means, so assembler will check the syntax and semantics of the code and translate into its equivalent machine code. Also we call them as a object code. So here what it does means, so when during the process of translating, it also checks for the syntax and semantics of the code. That is grammatical rules. That is it checks. Syntax means the grammatical rules. Semantic means representation of the logic. If it is the code means program. If it is correct and translate into its equivalent machine code, and this machine code is also known as the object code. So there are some example of the assemblers normally we use. So turbo assembler, we use T turbo. ASM stands for assembler. M assembler, you can see. Microsoft macro assembler, Microsoft M macro assembler, and also we have a Unix assembler. Sometimes they use F. We have F assembler, that is a flat assembler, and then we have a net wide assembler. So we have, okay, you can see here net wide assembler. So there are many other assemblers also, but this is the typical names they've given. These are the assemblers for different purpose. That's converting assembly level language to machine level language. So assembler is a system software which translates program written in assembly language into machine level language. Already I've said. So the same diagram. So the program in assembly level language, we have a software assembler and it translates into machine code. Okay. I think very simple, very easy to understand also, not difficult. So next continue to another but we are not going in detail, but when you go for IS studies, not assembler itself is a big chapter, so where we have to learn so many things, how it will be converting all those things. But right now, this academic, we are learning just introduction. There is something which translates high level language to assembly level language to machine level language. How it is done, that is what is the next thing, next level. When you go for IS studies, you will be learning. So next learn another is a compiler. So what is a compiler? Again, it's a system software. It translates high level language to machine level language, along with checking the entire source code for syntax and semantic errors line by line and produce the executable file if it is free from all the errors. So now what is the compiler? Already I have said. So language translator, which translate high level language source code to machine level. So I was explaining this compiler is a language translator for translating high level language to high level translator for translating the high level language source program, that source code we call, into the machine code. Already I have told is known as a object code. So that is a machine code is known as also known as the object code. A compiler, this is the compiler, will check the entire source code, the entire program you written. So maybe you have many lines, 100 lines or 5, 10 lines, depends on the programs. Checks for the syntax and semantics of the semantic errors line by line and produces executable file, that is object code. So that program can be executed now. Produce executable file only if it is free from all these type of errors. So that is what we call as a compiler job. That's what compiler does. So compiler is a system software which translate high level language to machine level language. That is the program written in high level languages is called source code. What is source code? Sometimes they may ask, or source program. The program written in high level languages is called source code or source program. The compiler generated program is called object code. What this compiler is a language translator for translating high level language program, that source code, into machine code known as object code. A compiler normally will check the entire source code for syntax and semantics errors line by line and produce an executable only if it is free from all errors. So that is something about the compiler. So already it's a system software that translates source code written in high level language into object code which is in machine code. So very simple way you can define it. Along with this conversion process, it also checks for certain type of error, that's syntax and semantic errors. If it is free from syntax and semantic errors, then it is converted into its equivalent machine level language code, that is called object codes, and this object code can be executed later. So that is something about the compiler. So we have one more is called interpreter. So interpreter is also same. So it is also like compiler, which is used to translate high level language to machine level language. What it does means, so it executes the instruction and translation occurs simultaneously. It takes one instruction in high level language and converts into machine code and execute. So simultaneously it does it, and line by line. So every line of the program takes one by one and converts and executes. So this is sometimes it is advantageous because we do not, it is a faster way of executing, it is line by line. So but what we had in a compiler completely convert the high level language to machine level language and then it will be executed. We'll understand the differences later on. So we learn about interpreter. So interpreter is also like system software which translate high level language to machine level language line by line. That's very important. Line by line, that's more important. And execute immediately. So that is that translation and execution takes place at the same time. So that is the difference, the major difference between the interpreter and the compiler. So as discussed in the process of compilation, so consumes a lot of memory because we need both. So system with a less amount of RAM. So always prefer the interpreter. So what interpreter? Interpreter where the source code is analyzed line by line. That's what very important. And executed immediately. That's what I said. So it is line by line and executed and reduces the need of larger RAM. So normally what happens means whenever we use the compiler, so we need a complete source program and also we need object program. So both will be in the main memory. It consumes more space. So but when you have an interpreter, so there is no object program here. So taking the same source program and in line by line we are executing. It is not producing one more code, that is what we call as object code, and then it is executing. We are not doing that one. So in this case, that's an interpreter. That is advantage. That is when you have a lesser RAM main memory, then you can go for this type of, that's an interpreter. Otherwise you can go for the compiler as well. So source level debugging also becomes easier because it will be understood there itself and there is no error and it is executed. Only there is no error, then it will be line by line. So if there is error, again rectified and executed immediately. That becomes easier also. Here what happens, you convert into object program and after during the execution you may find errors. So then again you come back to the source program, modify it and do it again. I think you may be getting bored, don't get bored. So it is, once your programming is understood, it becomes very easy. Just follow it, what I am saying. So when you compare to the compiled one, so normally what becomes the source level debugging also becomes easier when compared to the compiler one. So what we have, that compiled one. Compiled one, what happens already I have told. It produces the entire thing, and then there's a error, means again we have to come back. So it's easier. There itself it is done. That is a compilation and execution takes at the same time in this kind of interpreter. But overall execution time is more compared to the compiled program, because line by line it takes time. But once it is free from that object program you produce, that executed immediately. But here what happens, since every time you execute, every line you take and execute, every line so that takes more time because of during the execution. So that is compiled from, because during the execution, so we need both. We require both source code and interpreter. So translation is required afresh. That is again you have to, whenever we execute the program, means, so what happens in a compiler, so it produces the complete program. So that is complete program means, so that's a compiled version of the object code. So that can be executed whenever you want. But in this case, what happens here, so whenever you want to execute, so now you executed, tomorrow you want to execute the same program, means again we need both. We need source program and also we need interpreter. Again it has to be translated freshly. So that's how it consumes time. But in compiler what it does means, once it produces object programs, so neither compiler nor source code is required. So just it will be we keep only object programs, that object code will be executed every time. So tomorrow you execute, no need to compile. It's already there, compiled object code, mission code is there. That mission code will be used every time. But in this case, we cannot execute. Every time you have executed means we need both, that is source code and interpreter. And also we need the fresh translation. So this is one of the major drawback. This invites security problem also. Every time, because someone translating and doing some modification can also be done. It's not secured. So this is something about interpreter. So all system specific software will use a compiled program. So because it does not require recompilation of source code. That's all. That's the advantages of compiler. The earlier version of COBOL, Fortran used the interpreter for translation of compiler for translation. So web application languages are mainly dependent on interpreters. So for example, Java is an interpreted language. So Java 11 language uses interpreter. So it requires JVM, so Java Virtual Machine, JVM, for running the web applications. C, C++, Visual C, or we have a C++ or compiler dependent languages due to their inherent applications in nature. So normally we have some programming languages, or we use like Java will be using for a web applications, we use an interpreter. So that's a JVM, Java Virtual Machines, like C, C++, Pascal, Cobra, something. So these programming languages will be dependent on the compiler. So we have both. Compiler is also available, and also we have specific language for each. So even C++ or C programming language could also be executed using the interpreter. Interpreter is also available, but they prefer for the, what we call the real-time processing, we use for the compiled version of the program for executions. So this is something about translators. And then we have utilities and also linkers, loaders. These are all system softwares that also we'll discuss. And then we'll start with let me complete this. Okay, utilities. So these are the utilities or the helpful programs that assist the computer program performing useful functions like housekeeping functions, like backing of disk or scanning, cleaning, or viruses, arranging the information. So utility software is generally called as a application-oriented ready-made system program. Some of the important utilities are text editor and backup utility and compression utility, disk defragment, antivirus software. So these are all used as a so I was talking about the utilities. So utilities so normally like housekeeping. So in a computer memory, there are so many things, everything has to be arranged properly. So in order to do this, So we use the utilities. That's also system software. Does the task of backing up. So everything, whatever we keep it in the memory, the operating system is we learn, and once you learn operating system, you will understand. So everything has to be organized properly. So and also then sometimes what happens, like every once in a 3 months, once in a 2 months, we have to clean. We have to scan for viruses sometimes. So whatever we kept the information, that is only what is required is the available, or something is also added. And like when you don't groom a room at home, or maybe when you have housekeeping, you don't clean, means there's a possibility of something, bacteria, virus are accumulating. In exactly similar way, inside the computers, there may be some other programs. So that's what, you have so many things, that something will be joining, that will be in the memory. That may corrupt the programs to work. That is a virus. We'll discuss that virus in the next classes. When I talk about virus, I'll talk. Okay, next, this has to be monitored properly. So that is what we do. So sometimes what happens, so whatever we are having important data, there may be a lost. So there, the backupping the disk, the entire whatever kept in the disk inside the computer, that has to be backup, so that if anything happens, corrupt means, again we can reconstruct, again we can rebuild or reset the entire software and reinstall, and whatever you had earlier, the same data will be preserved. That is what backing up. That's the utilities. That's also part of the operating system. That's like system software. And also we have some application-oriented ready-made system programs. Some of the important are like text editor. Simple things, text editor, we want to do something, that's also available. And also application-oriented. These are application software like a backup utility. That's also system software, automatically compress. Sometimes you do not want, because you have to use the space more efficiently, convert it into other form, like zip file or RAR format. We compress the data so that it uses less memory. And also disk defragmenter. So this, what is defragmenter means? So normally when so many programs are used, and there may be one we use a big program and one we use a small program like big image. So there is a memory is a sequential. So one it uses more space, another uses small space. So in between the gap will be there. Like when you organize properly, randomly you throw means, so in between there may be a gap. So where those, a small gap cannot be used for representing. But when you organize everything and take all these gaps into one side, so that the number of more gap, like we have a small gap example. So that take 10 small gap means it becomes 10 together, so where you can store something. So exactly the same way, this defragmenter will do the same thing. So whenever you run out of less memory means, then you can go for fragmentation. So when you use this one, automatically it arranges everything properly so that it can free the memory. So then system becomes much faster. Another is the antivirus software. So I think when you have a virus, to tackle the virus, we use antivirus software. That's all the utilities. And also we have linkers and loaders. So as the name suggests, linkers and loaders. Why do we need? So whenever programs written in high-level language is not only one module or only one unit. There may be many units. That's we call as a module, a small part. So everything has to be linked together properly. So when the program or software written means, so there may be involving many modules, many sub-programs or what we call sub-tasks. And we have to combine all these tasks together and then we have to execute. So how to link these various different units as a one means, that is also we use a system software. They are called linkers, because inside the computer everything is done by the programs only, softwares only. Therefore we have to write this also. That's why they are called system softwares. A source program written in high-level language may contain a number of modules or segments, or that's what I say, sub-programs, many modules. For the program to be executed properly, these modules has to be linked properly. So one by one we have to execute. So once you learn programming language, you will understand this. Once you learn C++ program, at the end of this academic, you will be understanding these things correctly. And also various library functions we may be using, library segments that we call included, so that the execution of the program is sequential, one after the other. So this operation is performed by the software called linker. That is what linker. So linker is a system software which links the modules or program segments together so that can be executed properly with the proper references. That is what we call as the linker. So it's a system software which links the modules or program segments together so that they can be executed properly with the proper reference. That's what I said. We have a simple program means when you learn program you'll understand. So that is made up of many individual modules, the program segments. So they may be in different orders. So all has to be connected and the execution has to be in proper order, one by one, sequentially. How it is done means that to do this, we have a software that is called linker. Links, its job is only link the modules. Whenever we want to execute the means, compiler translate. When you are executing, so all the modules will be distributed, so converted in object program. So you gather all these modules and put it in one, entirely one program, like one code. So where it's executed one by one sequentially. So that is the distributed modules or integrated together. That is done by the linker. That's how linker is a system software. The output of the linker is a single program. That's what I said. So which includes all the modules and the entire library required for the execution. The linker is thus responsible for generating executable code of a program. That's how, because if you want to execute program means all has to be integrated. That is what done by the, already I've told these things. So once the executable program is generated, so now it is ready, everything is ready. So this has to be loaded to the main program. So once, as I told, everything is arranged and they kept on the imagine. So this has to be loaded to the main memory. So that the computer execution takes place. So how this is done means again it is done by another software that is called as a system software, that is the loader. So loader is a system software which loads the program, object program for the execution. So that is the loader. Loader is a system. So that's what we are. Once executable program is generated, so someone will have to load the program into the main memory of the computer so that it can be executed. So this operation is performed by system software called loader. So it actually places the object code from the secondary memory storage into the main memory and start executes. So that's a very simple one. So loader is a system software which accepts the object program produced by the compiler or assembler and prepares these programs for execution. So in many ways you can define. These are the another way. Just if you understood, very simple. So normally what happens means the compiler has to be not understood by high-level language. It has to be converted to machine code. Yes, we have a compiler, the language translator. Once they are translated, so there may be, we have to link them together. We have to form one complete independent unit program, so that has to be executed one by one, because normally program is not one unit. It may be made up of many subunits. All has to be connected, proper order. This is done by the linker. Again, that also we have a software. So after linking everything, this has to be loaded to the main memory. So this is done by the, again done by the software that is called loader. So these are the different softwares, system software we are learning. So among the system software, next we will be discussing the important one is the operating system. So that will be continued in the next class. Okay.